In the past several years of creating videos for instructional purposes, I've learned that there is a time and a place to share information in an unscripted or more conversational format, and there are times when a well-planned and executed script will convey your ideas more effectively. Then the question to consider is perhaps when to script and when not to. But even in a longer form discussion or while using a voiceover on a presentation or other form of direct instruction support, we must also acknowledge that there will either be some form of an outline in the discussion, and the presentation that is being narrated will also act as a script. So perhaps what we really are exploring is a question: to what extent or when should you script and how? Rather than walk you through a step-by-step process of how to create a script and how to use it, I'm going to share my experiences, explain what I'm currently doing, how I came to my current approach, and offer suggestions on the pros and cons. How you implement these ideas are up to you. When do I script? More often than not. If I am creating a 2 to 3 minute or less introduction video, a 4 to 10 minute overview, or a 10-minute TED Talk style of video, I will write and use a script, conveying an effective message that not only appeals to the head and the heart in 2 minutes or less, or in a slightly longer format, requires a lot of thought and planning. You're going to be spending a lot of time somewhere, so why not use your time effectively? I've also learned that if you don't use a script on these short videos, you have a tendency, or I have a tendency, to end up having to shoot and reshoot the video many, many times over, because I just can't get the words right, or I inserted an or a hesitation in the wrong place, or something else just wasn't right. A script will also prevent you from going over your time constraint. The last time I tried to do a short video without a script, it took dozens of takes, which consumed the better part of a day. When I was finally done, I still wasn't happy with the result. When you factor in the extensive editing I had to do, I would have saved considerably more time by using a script. To create a good video, you need to commit your time to preparation. I spend most of my time on the front end writing, then extensively editing, and then rehearsing or reading my script. Yes, I rehearse my script. Reading your script out loud will reveal so many problems. A well-edited and rehearsed script will reduce your shooting and reshooting time substantially. It will also reduce your post-production or your editing time significantly because you have less cuts and edits, which can be very time-consuming. Fixing a poorly shot video or poor audio in post-production is so time-consuming that if I'm not pleased with my raw video, I'll simply reshoot. It will save me time in the long run. This video that you are watching right now is scripted. I've been thinking about what to say for several weeks, and what you are seeing is a result of extensive editing over several days. I've also counted the words and rehearsed my timing to make sure that this video is not too long or too short. I will point you to the word count tool I use to estimate my video time, which I will include in the supporting post. The video is only one part of an effective communication strategy. I will more often than not use a video in conjunction with a blog post or page that points to additional key information. The video provides the overview or context. The additional images, additional text-based information completes the communication. Your time is valuable, so I want to ensure that I am sharing the right information and advice. Just to confirm, I do use a script on most of my videos. I also use a teleprompter, which I'll talk about shortly. But before I do, I want to mention when I don't use a script, or perhaps I should say when I use less of a structured script. When I do a long-form discussion like my Learner's Mindset discussions or in a podcast where I'm collaborating with another person, I don't use a script. But I do use an outline, and prior to the discussion, I collaborate with my colleague or host to explore what the key message is and where we hope to take our viewer. We'll create a Google Doc outline that we both review and use to guide our discussion. I keep a copy of the outline open on the side of my computer, and I will scan this from time to time. This allows the discussion to take a very natural flow, but at the same time, I can ensure we are on the right track. The other place where I use a less structured script is in direct instruction videos, presentations, tips videos, or any type of video where I use a tool like Screencast-O-Matic to create a small talking head on the bottom corner of the screen as I talk through the key information. The presentation slides, the website, article, or whatever I'm talking about provides a structure for what I'm saying. I still plan out my key points and takeaways, so even though there isn't a formal script, I do have some sort of a plan or structure that guides the video. Perhaps the only place I don't use a script is in my assignment feed-forward videos. I stopped using written feedback on assignments for over 2 decades now, and in the past 10 years, I've moved to audio feedback or feed forward through video. Even though these videos are not scripted, I do have a structure and format that I follow. I'm in the process of developing a video feed forward course, which I will be making available in the late spring or early summer of 2021. Since I use a script for most videos, I also use a teleprompter. Finding the right teleprompter has been a bit of a journey. A few years ago, I had quite the video production process. I would convert my entire living room into a studio, put up large white backdrop, use a 3-point lighting along with backlighting on my background, and I used a DIY prompter I created and my Canon DSLR. I experimented with a variety of teleprompting software that I ran on either an Apple or an Android tablet. This worked very well, but it was a very involved process. It required lots of space, a significant amount of setup and takedown time, and I had to have help running the camera and teleprompter. As my need to create more videos increased, I also realized that I had to become more efficient in my setup. By switching to a high-speed wide-angle lens, I could get a more cinematic effect and shorten the shooting distance from several feet to 18 to 20 inches, which also meant that I could establish a permanent video setup in my compressed workspace. Prior to getting a lens-mounted teleprompter that I now use, I experimented with a web-based teleprompter that ran on my computer. My camera was positioned just above my screen, and the web-based teleprompter was positioned just at the top of the screen and only went down about an inch to ensure my eyes didn't drop down too low. I also narrowed the browser window to limit my side-to-side eye movement as I read. This worked for a while, but you could still see I wasn't looking directly at the camera. Since I'd used a teleprompter before in my larger studio setup, I knew the look I wanted to achieve. After doing some research on the different lens-mounted teleprompters, I decided on the Parrot teleprompter from Padcaster. At $100 US or 175 Canadian, it's a reasonably priced solution that is still very easy to use and simple to set up. You just screw on a mounting bracket onto your lens and slide the teleprompter into place. You slide the iPhone into the bottom shelf and you are ready to go in less than a minute. The system has saved me countless hours. When you factor in how much your time is actually worth, spending a few dollars to help you be more productive and save you significant time is a smart return on your investment. The plastic teleprompter that mounts on your DSLR lens is great, but when you combine it with a voice-activated app that will track your voice and scroll your text as you talk, you're at a whole other level of productivity. The free software that comes with a Parrot teleprompter works just fine, but as anyone who has worked with a teleprompter will come to realize, there are times when you need to stop, take a pause, or go back and redo a section of your script. The voice tracking activation and capability of the Smart Prompt Pro app that I'm currently using enables me to stop, start, and control the teleprompter as I go through my narration. At just under $30, this is one of the more expensive apps that I have purchased in a while, but once again, this is a small price to pay for the level of efficiency you can achieve. Because my camera is so close, I can simply reach out and scroll the teleprompter script back to the section I want to reshoot and restart the teleprompter. Because I record while standing, I use my hands when I speak often and have a tendency to move around a bit too much. To mitigate this movement, I've also learned to insert pauses into my recording and try to stay as still as I can. By limiting my movement, the cuts and edits in my post-production go much smoother. I'm currently using an old iPhone that is connected to Wi-Fi and has all the notifications turned off to run the script so I don't have any interruptions. The screen of the teleprompter is just under 4 inches wide, so you don't see much side-to-side eye movement. This lens-mounted teleprompter is one of the last pieces of my video production setup that I wish I would have explored sooner. Setting up for a video is just a matter of pulling the teleprompter off the shelf, sliding it onto the lens, and loading my script into the app. I then insert my old iPhone into the slot at the bottom, and I am ready to go. This is one of the many pieces of the video production puzzle that I have been working on over the past several years. Please refer to my DIY video setup post for more details on the audio and lighting. Also remember that my office setup is very, very compressed, so the limited space that I have to work in is a very important consideration. If you have more space, you have many more options. If you are like many people in 2020 and 2021 dealing with the COVID restrictions, you may be working from home, so your space or lack of space will also be a consideration. Regardless of your situation, I trust these ideas that I have shared will help you become more efficient and effective at creating videos for your instructional setup.